But let's dive into some of the big news stories of this week, and I think it's fair to say that the main one comes from KTM with the unveiling of their new 390 Supermoto, which also comes in a 125 version. Now, on the one hand, these are brand new, so it's always good to see new bikes on the market and more options for us to choose from. But on the other, well, it's not a particularly surprising build, this one, and you could probably roughly guess how it's spec'd even just from the name. You see, the 390 engine is effectively the same liquid-cooled single-cylinder LC4C that you'll see in all their other 390 bikes, just with some little tweaks for emissions. They've refined the gearbox a touch and shaved a little bit of weight off the exhaust system. Despite that, you're still getting the same 44 horsepower peak and 39 newton meters of peak torque. And they say the steel trellis frame is also largely shared with the small capacity Dukes. They've just had to make a few changes like the foot peg position, the subframe mounts. They've changed the head angle to get the handling right and the swing arm. But broadly and structurally, it's very much the same. Brakes are from Vibro with a 4-piston radial caliper up front like the other 390s. Suspension is from their in-house WP brand from their Apex lineup like the other 390s. And then visually, it's orange, it's angular, it's graphical, like the other 390s, although to be fair, you could probably say the same of pretty much any other bike in the KTM lineup. What does make this one a little bit different though from other bikes in the 390 range is the fact that you've got that taller Supermoto stance with the extra travel in the suspension, the open Supermoto style riding position with the long saddle and 860mm seat height, the spoked 17-inch rims front and rear that will give you that road-focused handling even though you've got a fairly lofty chassis. And then in the cockpit, well, they've made a bit of a change here in that they've slimmed down the dash. It does still allow you to control stuff like, there's a couple of riding modes, ABS settings, TC settings, and connectivity and a few things like that, but it's just really slimmed down to give it that cleaner, dirt bikey look in the cockpit, as you'd expect to be fair for a Supermoto. As for the price on this one, well, it looks fairly decent at £5,699, and I guess one of the reasons they've been able to hit a price point like that is the fact that while it's designed in Austria, the build, in terms of manufacturing, is carried out on their behalf in India by Bajaj, which has been the case for some time now with all the 390 models and below. Still, for the money, it looks like decent value. Certainly a good option if you want a Supermoto-style riding experience, but maybe with a touch more refinement and being a bit more toned down than something that's directly derived from an actual dirt bike. And also, it had me thinking it would probably be a heck of a city commuter. There's enough punch from the engine, for example, but it's still relatively fuel efficient being a 390. The weight is slender at about 160 kilograms wet. The body of it is narrow, so it should be really easy to thread through traffic. And also you've got those big wide bars for plenty of leverage and also the quick turning of that 17-inch front wheel. For me, it sounds like good fun, and the only downside is I have to mention the usual disclaimer, I guess, when it comes to new KTMs at the moment, which is that the company itself is in some fairly serious financial difficulties, and so you probably want to see how those pan out over the next month or two before you rush out and put a deposit on a bike like this. I did see a article on a website that said it's a great time to buy a KTM because they've got so much surplus stock that they're being heavily discounted, and so you can get the bike of your dreams at a really good price at the moment. But of course, you probably want to be sure that you can still get parts and servicing and stuff like that if you're going to spend a load of money on a brand new bike. Personally, I really hope it gets sorted soon. I think the motorcycle world would be a much worse place without KTM. They make such lively, fun-to-ride bikes. And of course, you never really want to see loads of jobs at risk, and so hopefully they find a way out of this situation soon, whatever form that may take.